Hey, everybody. We are live. Today there was a lot of news. Uh, Free agency getting ready to kick off here in a few days. Bunch of teams m- making a bunch of moves, signing. We had Hollywood Brown sign 11 million, and we'll get into some of the other news here in a bit. But first, we're gonna try to log into a big board. I'm assuming my location thing is still messed up. So I will enter in my phone in about 10 seconds. So Mike Gesicki signed a 3-year deal. That's pretty huge. He was a major part of that offense last year. Had some pretty big spike weeks, and I'm gonna I'm assuming he will be going up in price. I started taking a bunch of shares about a week ago whenever I felt like it was a lot more likely that he resigns. Because if he's there, his price at 200 is really low. Uh, so we'll get on to the Kansas City Chiefs. My Chiefs having more problems in Texas. Xavier Worthy got arrested for choking someone. No other information on that. Uh, who knows what'll happen? He's most likely, like, if there's actually a charge that isn't dropped, he will definitely get suspended. And with Rashee Rice also possibly being suspended, it is going to hurt a lot. But as soon as that news happened, surprisingly, Kansas City goes out and re-signs Hollywood Brown for a 1 year, $11 million deal again. That's fantastic. Like he was hurt all season. He wasn't really on the same page when he got back, but in the preseason, he looked really good, and he was going to be a big part of their offense. It was pretty obvious. That just never came to fruition because he had that separated shoulder, and it took him 14 or 15 weeks to get healthy. Uh, so, about this draft, we'll get back to them in a second. I got the 104. I am not sure who any of these player or people are. Welcome, Victor. Thanks for showing up. I will have to fix that real quick. Why is this being weird? Okay, there we go. That is probably a little larger than I want it to be, but it's done. Running back going heavy here. I changed my settings a little bit to what I'm seeing. Um, that is the spike week score with the spike week percentage, the amount of weeks that they actually had a spike. I don't know if I'm going to like this, but I'll try it. This is the spike week tool. Uh, there's all kinds of settings you can get into with setting it up. I still kind of play around with these. So back to Rashee, like the Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy both probably being suspended thing. Like it probably means KC's more likely to get a running back earlier in the draft. Uh, Rasheed Rice, though, he was at least seen healthy. He or healthy, or he's rehabbing that knee. He was doing jumps on boxes, landing on the knee that was hurt, strengthening it. Seemed pretty good. It's an exercise, to get better, but at least he is to the point that the rehabilitation is moving forward. That's a good sign for him for next season. But as far as these drafts go, he's almost definitely missing 6 weeks. And with his ADP being, I think it was 49 right now, that's a lot of capital to put into a player that early. But it is all about weeks 15, 16, 17. And if you get that big week in one of those weeks to help you advance and you can support him throughout the season, he's definitely worth that, assuming he actually comes back healthy. I hadn't been taking a lot of them purely because I wasn't sure if he was actually on a good track of being healthy. I'm probably gonna start mixing them in a little bit more, and I think I'm at like 8%. I'll probably get like maybe 10% ish on them. Not go crazy or anything. I'm probably not going to be drafting any more Xavier Worthy, at least until we get news on things. I was overexposed. I have 15% on him already. He's gonna drop in price, and I might take him here and there if he drops pretty far. But if Worthy misses 6 games, which I don't know how many he'll miss, um, but let's say that he misses 6 games for the abuse thing or whatever it is. Like it just said that he choked somebody. I don't know any more details. We're gonna go ahead and Justin Jefferson and Ladd McConkey. Yeah, we'll do that. I like that. A lot of people are low on Ladd McConkey. I love the pick. Joe Mixon. Holy crap. I guess I should have been paying attention to this board. This guy pulls up Brian Thomas. And then in the second round takes Joe Mixon. That is a statement. Joe Mixon generally goes down there around that Rasheed Rice range I was talking about. With this next pick, I really like Trey McBride here. But I don't want him on, like, I have him on a lot of Justin Jefferson teams and a lot of Ladd McConkey teams. Their ADPs kind of line up well with each other. Hey, welcome to the chat, Ben. I still need to mess with the sizing of these and everything. I think I'll add Brees Hall. As you know, rushing quarterbacks generally help the rushing success of the offense. And Brees Hall last year, like I don't know what it was. I was really heavy into him. I was wrong. Their offense was really bad. But Aaron Rodgers is gone. He won't be dictating the offense. They brought in a defensive coordinator as a head coach. They're probably going to try to run the ball, play good defense. They have good defensive pieces. If they can just control the ball a little, they'll be very good. And the rumor is that they're very interested in Justin Fields. So if Justin Fields goes to the Jets, that could help Brees Hall tremendously. I'm gonna probably move him up in my rankings a little bit. So I mean I have a lot of movement to do right now because of the whole Chiefs ordeal. All of them moving around. It's just it feels pretty pretty awkward to be a KC fan right now. I'll tell you that. Like once again in February or early March, we have one of the best players on our team get in legal trouble. Not a good look. And both of them happened in Texas too, which I find kind of humorous. Uh, so we'll bring the board back up. Sorry, I should have already had that up. Uh, so those of you who were watching yesterday, I I ended up deleting the video because I only got like 4 rounds in, and I actually forgot I had a. I do like I actually forgot what day it was. So I do dinner with my father on Fridays. I fired up a draft, uh, forgetting that, and as I was getting ready to pick in the fourth round, like I think I was at 47. Yeah, I got. He called me and he was sitting out in the driveway, so I had to pretty much leave instantly. Uh, but just so you know, I got punished for it. I got autoed Rasheed Rice, so it's all good. Maybe that's enough. But yeah, I Rasheed Rice and Worthy now. Like I'm curious to see where Xavier Worthy ends up going. He's probably gonna fall down to about where I'm at, which is about where Rasheed Rice is. If both of those players miss 6 games, like which will probably be the feel for now, why would you take Worthy over Rasheed Rice? Like, if they're both going to miss games, there's no interest. Like for me, I'm not going to take Xavier Worthy over Rasheed Rice, and like I said before, I have 15% Xavier Worthy, so it feels pretty bad, but it does make 20% Hollywood Brown feel a little better now that he's. So I won and lost at the same time. Fantastic. So the guy here in, is it the 7 hole? Yeah, the 7 hole. Brian Thomas, Joe Mixon in the second, Chuba and Hampton. Well, if you're going to take Mixon there, this is kind of what you want to do is take 3 guys who go at the same exact position over in here. I don't like it, but this will be one of the only teams that has that combination of running backs. So we got Brees Hall, Jefferson, McConkey. Jalen Hurts is fine, unstacked. Um, I was actually seeing some interesting things on Roma Dunze earlier. I think I'll go ahead and pull up Devontae Adams. I could see, I could definitely see. Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with that. I it wouldn't have been Mixon would not have been my choice of people to do that with, but it's an interesting idea. It might just be like he doesn't have a badge. Maybe he's new to best ball. Who knows? But last year, none of my strategies worked. So who am I to argue about your strategy? Like it's an interesting thought experiment though to do something like that. Take 3 people that go around a single turn, pull all of them up, like pull one of them up 2 rounds and one of them up a full round, and maybe get all 4 of them. Like if he tacks on one of the other guys who's usually there right here, like it'll be incredibly unique and unique. Yeah. Victor is a co-owner in a dynasty league with me, and yeah, he's a Dolphins fan, and he really wanted Jalen Waddle last year, and we made a trade that I didn't necessarily like, and it it didn't really work out, but it didn't hurt us enough to make us lose. So all's good, right? Like I know he's just joking. Like it's a salary cap league kind of thing, and I mostly our team is pretty dominant, and I mostly made that trade because he's a little newer to fantasy sports, and we weren't like, it actually gave us the best chance based on the players last year to win. Uh, Waddle was a bust, but like we had AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, uh, and I forget who else. Like, but we had like our team was pretty loaded, and having three top 17 picks felt pretty good. Uh, he did not pay off, but it's all good. We don't have to deal with him again this year because in the salary league we get to choose to re-sign him or not at the discount. So, but we'll go back to best ball. The Xavier Worthy at 53, 7 picks past Rashee Rice. That feels a little better. I'm gonna expect that Worthy ends up going down here like 65, 63, 64, 65 after the Travion Hendersons and uh, Kamara and Walker and Sutton probably. Like basically this whole tier. I think he'll Pickens got drafted a little earlier than usual here, but I could see Worthy going down in here where Pickens usually goes. Right, let's see. So yeah, he and then he brings up George Pickens with the Joe Mixon pull up. Like if I mean, this is a unique team. That I will give them that. Anybody else doing anything kind of wild? Doesn't look like it. We got the classic triple stack in the first 4 picks. Uh, the whole offense is back together. As I said at the beginning, if you follow any news, Mike Gesicki re-signed. That's fantastic. Yesterday, there were some rumors going around that Trey Hendrickson might be traded. The Bengals' defense is already maybe the worst in the league, like other than Carolina. If they lose Trey Henderson or Hendrickson, like what they're going to be playing for points no matter what. Like they can't lose him. If they lose him, every Bengal is going to be an absolute smash in fantasy. Now, that being all speculation at this point, like I'm not going to do anything with rankings, but if he gets traded, like you can't really move it. All the Bengals except for Gesicki pretty much get drafted kind of where they need to go. So there's no real value, but it's going to make me more likely to not pass up those picks if Hendrickson ends up getting traded. I don't think it's going to be very likely. I think they're going to look for a lot, which they should. All right, I really like James Conner here. Caleb Johnson is starting to fall. I like him in the 70s a little more. I want to be overweight with James Conner. They absolutely love him. So we'll go ahead and take James Conner. The team, as of now, Brees Hall, James Conner, that is just very solid 2 starters. Brees never had 1,000 yards, but this could definitely be the year. Like I said the same thing last year. I thought that Brees was going to go nuts. He did not, but James Conner did. Then we got best wide receiver in the league, Justin Jefferson, Ladd McConkey, and Devontae Adams with a elite tight end. Like I'll put Kittle in the elite tight end category. So basically have all but my flex locked up here. Don't always draft like this, but it's a very comfortable position to draft in. So we'll go back to the board. So Jalen Hurts fell to the pick before me. That's actually what I was wanting here. Is I was gonna do a do a naked Jalen Hurts pick. Uh, but I mean, George Kittle, like his ADP not moving up. And by the way, let me know, is my mic loud enough? Like it looks like it's not as loud as it was the last couple times I streamed. So just let me know. The but yeah, I George Kittle with Ayuk being hurt and Debo being traded, he hasn't moved at all. Okay, thank you. And like he actually was better overall last year, points per game wise, than any other tight end in the league. I'll bring that up here in just a second. Let me, after I pick, David Montgomery goes. I would have absolutely taken David Montgomery there. So I have Golden rated above him. We'll look at this real quick, see how. So 25% of my teams that I have George Kittle, I have I have Pearsall on. I'm okay with that double stack again. And this will give me a team stack, even if I don't get Brock Purdy. If in the next round Purdy's there, it's an instant click. So now we're built all the way through the flex, and I will bring, I think it's right here. So I put this together. Like it's mostly Pro Football Focus's spreadsheet, and I did a little bit of changing to it. Well, if you look, this column right here is fantasy points per game. George Kittle had 13.17, and Brock Bowers had 12.15. I know it's a new season and all, but like, and Brock Bowers has Geno Smith now, which we haven't even talked about, but like he actually outproduced per game every other tight end in the league. And other than Trey McBride and Brock Bowers, he was like a full 2 points ahead, or a point and a half ahead of everybody else. So he was 2 points ahead of everybody other than David Njoku, Jonnu Smith, Trey McBride, Brock Bowers. So that is something that I've noticed, and I really like George Kittle this year. He like they are going to have to use him. Brock Purdy relies on him in the red zone. I think the touchdowns were pretty high too. Yeah, 8 touchdowns. So I'm in. I'm definitely into George Kittle. And whenever I did my original rankings before the season, and those rankings were not good, so like I'm not trying to brag or anything, because I had some players like 20, 30 picks like too low and some other ones too high. But I actually had McBride at like 22, and I had George Kittle over here at like 34. All right, we'll go back and look through this. The Cortland Sutton drafter takes Bo Nix, Baker Mayfield, probably. Oh, the Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan stack. Most people that take McMillan assume that Godwin isn't going to be there, but that is goes a little bit later than McMillan was going earlier in the season. So I don't mind it. It's good. I mean, he's got a pretty solid team here. Achane, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield. He's can be done at quarterback. We'll see if he drafts a third. He's also not got a badge, and then this guy doesn't have a badge. He took a naked Brock Purdy on me. Doesn't feel great, but that's fine. I have. I'll just probably prioritize taking Herbert here in a round or two, and if not, like I'm fine with JJ McCarthy. I feel pretty confident he'll be the quarterback there in Minnesota. Josh Downs doesn't make it this far too often. What pick are we at? 93. So it's a little bit of an ADP value. I actually like Josh Downs quite a bit. We'll go ahead and do that. And that will also set up another quarterback stack for later. So I actually really like this team. I have a solid running back one with another a running back two that's pretty solid as well. And I have an X like I have my I have five receivers. I have a tight end. I don't have a quarterback yet, but I'm pretty comfortable like not having a quarterback at this point. Uh, which is weird to say because I'm also in on Jaden Daniels and Lamar pretty heavy at their because if you take them there, you don't have to worry about getting blocked out right in here by somebody taking a naked Brock Purdy or somebody doing this, which this is good. Amon, oh no, it's not good because he also has Jaden Daniels. So that guy has three quarterbacks already. So glad I looked at that. I was going to pull up Justin Herbert most likely anyway. Thought it was my pick. It is not. So hopefully he doesn't do that. If he does, it's fine. But I like Justin Herbert a lot this year. They are almost definitely going to bring another weapon in, and I believe that's going to help Ladd McConkey. If they got like a DK Metcalf is really good at stretching the field. I was looking through separation score earlier today, and average depth of air yards and all that stuff. And DK Metcalf, it was like air yards percentage for the team. He was like, I know he's not on the same team or won't have the same quarterback or anything, but basically said he's a go ball getter. And that's what he's been. He's really good at it, and he's really scary to go deep. And when he spikes big, and that's great for best ball and amazing for actual football. Um, but for consistency and fantasy, it's honestly like it's not something I like. And I mean, it depends on what I'm like. I try to mix floor with ceiling though, so like I take him here and there, and he just always goes a couple. Same thing last year. He went a pick or two before I was willing to take him over and over and over. So, but let's say DK Metcalf goes there. A lot of people will probably be out on Ladd at that point and want him to like. I think that will just give him more open space, like, and he absolutely destroys routes. McConkey does. So we have a tight end run here. Travis Kelsey will probably start to move up as well. And I'm assuming Hollywood Brown starts to move up as well with the Worthy news. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Who knows? Maybe Patrick Mahomes starts to fall. I mean, not here. This Joe Mixon drafter wanted Patrick Mahomes to pair with George Pickens. But I could see Mahomes even falling a little bit with the Xavier Worthy news. Like what? I mean, he was getting paired with Rashee Rice quite a bit already. Uh, that's probably even more prevalent. Like I only really had him stacked with Worthy. I did do a draft really early in the season where I pulled Xavier Worthy up to the 2-3 turn and then took Rashee Rice and then later took uh, Mahomes and then like pick 135 got Kelsey. And that's like my only Kansas City stack being a Kansas City fan. And it's going to be very interesting with what happens with all them. I'm definitely like I was already heavy on Hollywood. I'm going to be a little heavier on him now. So at this point, I think I want a running back if I can. Cam Scadabo, who I really like, got pulled way up, so he won't be there. I don't have like any J.K. Dobbins. This is the I think this is a good team to take a J.K. Dobbins on. Um, I think I've only taken him once in 104 drafts or something. I I'm not out on him. I just kind of want to know his landing spot. The running back class this year scares me a little bit. We'll see in what 3 days exactly what's going to happen with him, and what's going to happen with the free agent market at running back with Dowdle, Najee, Dobbins. So we'll go back to the board. Got Christian Kirk's been moving up since the Texans news a little bit. I I mean I think that's a fantastic fit. Uh, Supposedly Steph Diggs is a pretty hot commodity in free agency, and that's part of the reason why the Texans. I heard that's part of the reason why the Texans ended up making that trade is because they didn't want to pay Steph Diggs what he's going to get in free agency. I could take him, or I could lock up. I'm gonna look at this real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and take Tucker Craft actually. The pairing of Tucker Craft and George Kittle. If I wanted to, I could be done at tight end. I generally like to tack somebody on at the end of the draft, even with two really solid tight ends. But there's so many good tight ends this year. I think, wow, I missed this. Colston Loveland pulled all the way up to 111 to the guy with three quarterbacks. Amon Ra, Derrick Henry, Mike Evans, Jaden Daniels, Sutton, Judkins, Bo Nix, Jared Goff, Kelsey, Colston Loveland. He's still only got three wide receivers through 11 or through 10 rounds. He could dig out from it, but he's got to start now. Like that's a lot of capital at quarterback though. If I take Jaden Daniels and another guy before round 9, I don't want to have to take a third guy. That's just my preference. And I don't mind three quarterbacks with an elite if one of them's like in the last two rounds. It's probably not optimal even then because how often are they going to outscore your elite guy? It's just a little bit of injury protection at that point. And that's not really injury protection. I don't know what that is. Michael Penix goes to the Bichon drafter? No. Man, nobody in this room is stacking. Maybe he wants Kyle Pitts. This guy's got a KJW A135. Very solid team here. Puka, AJ Brown, Trey McBride, Devontae Smith. He was hoping that Jalen Hurts made it all the way back. He did not. So he took Chris Olave, Kenneth Walker, Jacoby Myers. He's actually going to be on the rise with the Geno Smith to the Raiders news. Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones. That's a really solid team. So we'll talk a little bit about the Geno Smith stuff. Like he Geno Smith had no time to throw all last year, and he's going to one of the only offensive lines that are as bad or worse than the one he came from. So if they invest a little into the offensive line, it might be fine. But one thing we know is he'll stand in there, he'll throw it. He might get rocked a lot, and that could be it could be good news for Brock Bowers. I don't know how exactly the offense is going to run or what routes or anything they're going to be doing. But if that offensive line is bad, like we've seen with the Dolphins last year, whenever they continually couldn't throw the ball deep because their protection was bad, they had to resort to short and intermediate throws. Those are what Brock Bowers and what Jacoby Myers does very well. So it could work out pretty well. And Gino likes to throw it deep, but JSN had a lot of his production, I believe. I mean, I may be wrong, but I believe by watching the games, JSN was a over the middle, short and intermediate kind of guy too, and he had a very good season with Gino. So there's no reason that that can't work in another on another team. The system will matter the most though. Chip Kelly coming back. Chip Kelly usually runs has a run heavy offense. I was surprised whenever I seen all that information. Like he's very run heavy, and that surprises me. I don't have a whole lot of Trey Benson, and I want some Trey Benson. I just always smash Dylan Sampson. I don't basically just blindly. This is the kind of team that can. Oh, I don't want him on this team. I forgot that I have James Conner, so we will not stack that, and we'll just go ahead and take Dylan Sampson. I did that a few weeks ago. I actually took Tyler Algier on a uh, Bijan team, and like I love the click. Like he fell like an entire round. I felt really good about the pick, and then I looked at my team and I was like, "What am I doing?" It's easy to do if you're not 100% locked in. Isaiah Likely is is possibly a great value with the Andrews news. Like this player pulled like Xavier Legette, Bryce Young. I'm into Bryce Young. I think he has a little bit of rushing upside. I still need a second quarterback. I guess that probably would have been the smarter move. So take another quarterback. We'll just hope JJ McCarthy makes it back. He should. That's right at his ADP. If he doesn't, I don't know, might just take Justin Fields. And actually, if Fields makes it all the way back around, I'll probably go ahead and take Fields as well. Um, and just pretend that he's going to be on the Jets for the Brees Hall Justin Fields stack, and then try to secure every rushing touchdown in that backfield. So, any more oddities? Stephon Diggs is continually falling. Like I didn't have any shares of him when he was going pick 110 ish. He I have several shares of him now in from like 125 to 140, and it feels really good. And the news that the teams kind of like him or that he's going to get a little bit, it makes you wonder if his rehab is going. Like I haven't really heard a lot about his rehab, but if there's a bunch of teams that are interested in him, if that is actually a fact, like we'll know in a few days. But if he signs a pretty good deal, that means his rehab is probably going better than people think, or that's what I would assume. I wouldn't have any way to know unless somebody reported on it. But depending on how big his contract is, we're probably gonna be a clue to how healthy he currently is. Isaiah Bond still going at 150. I even if he ran the 4.21 or 4.19 or whatever he wanted to run, like he was never worth this pick in my opinion. I I didn't see it on tape. I didn't I just didn't see it at all. They And then at the combine, I watched most of the combine, and all the on the field drills, he actually looked better than I expected him to, even though he was slower than we thought, or that he was slower than he thought. Not necessarily like Vegas's line started at 4.34, so they didn't, and they probably assumed people like me would bet that he was going under because he was so confident about it. Uh, like I just didn't think he would be that silly to continuously talk about it and then make himself look like a fool when he's not even close. Like if he had been, 4.26, even a 4.30 like Golden did, like nobody would really be making that much fun of him or anything. But he just kind of looked silly. But then he went into the drills and he actually looked way better than I thought he would. So although I don't like this draft spot, I think he's more draftable after the combine than he was before. I'm still not taking him. I think I have him rated down here around 200 ish. If he falls 5 rounds, I'll take him, kind of thing. I just and I don't know. I can't get into him. Let's look. Hollywood Brown. His ADP stayed the same, although he didn't. Maybe the news isn't out. Maybe nobody likes Hollywood Brown. He wasn't amazing last year, but if he's KC's number one option at the moment, we probably bring in another wide receiver, free agency or something, but at the moment he's Kansas City's number one option other than Travis Kelce. So that has some value. I'm mostly just out on Kansas City's offense. We lost Joe Thuney as well. Like Tooney, I think it's actually pronounced. And he's one of the better guards in the entire league. All right. Looking at ADP. Look at quarterback, see if there's anybody. I might just be good with the two I have. I don't really like the running backs up here. I'll probably push it and then take one of those guys. I liked Cedric Tillman. That'd be my wide receiver 6. He has some upside. And I have some solid, like a very solid base between those three, and then a bunch of upside down here. Let's look and see how the Joe Mixon drafter's doing. The Patrick Mahomes, did he end up trying to get Kelce? He did not. He passed on Hollywood as well. This guy, it just looks like he's new to best ball and he doesn't really know how the game is or how the game works. And oh, well, to be fair, like there was a bunch of people that done really well without mega stacking or and anything can win. Like it's less likely to win. Mahomes would have to throw like 4 touchdowns and only one to like 4 different people, kind of thing, and then he's quarterback 1 for the week. Like stuff like that, it can happen, but it makes it easier on you if you have one of those, because if he does that, one of those will have a touchdown and some yards, right? So it just makes an easier path to win. All right, so the quarterbacks are pretty much completely dried up. The This drafter has a very good team. He's got the Jacoby Myers, Geno Stack. He's got Matthew Stafford, and who does he have? ETN with Trevor Lawrence and Stafford and Puka. Like that is a very solid draft. I don't have a lot of Jalen Wright. I don't like the pick. I'm very glad he took him. So here, I could choose between Isaac Garindo, build out on that Niner stack a little bit, RJ Harvey or Giddens. I think I'll go ahead and build out the Niner stack just a little bit more. That might be too much volume out of one team, but I'm okay with it. Like it's not like I'm gonna rely on him every week to produce points, but the Niners, I want to be in on good offenses. I want several pieces on good offenses on every team. Uh, I believe that one reason I'm higher than most on the Chargers is because I believe they're going to be a high powered offense this season. Their offensive line's already really good. Herbert got the trust of everybody last year. They became a passing team. Jim Harbaugh just loves Herbert. Yeah, they tried to do the Greg Roman running thing for a while. It was fine, and Dobbins was good, but the team didn't really look great until, in my opinion, until they started really throwing the ball too. And yeah, I think they'll pass the ball a little more this year. And with Ladd, the reason I like Ladd so much is because you look the post by rookie bump everybody talks about after I think their bye was week 5. the The end of the season is like his last 10 games, excluding the insane playoff game he had. He averaged 88.5 yards a game with half a touchdown, and it was 5.6 receptions, I believe. That's what, 13 and a half fantasy points per game? Like, is that like, and if you look at that over all of the, I can't, I can't quit taking Damian Martinez. Everybody knows that. This is maybe too early though. I think I just take that guy instead. Yeah, I'll take Jack Besh. I loved Jack Besh as well. Like they're two of my favorite players, and he's been going up the board. So is Martinez. So if they're around ATP, I take them now. Uh, but back to the McConkey thing. Like the end of the season, he really did separate as a very good player. Like, and he had two giant spikes. Like with that point 0.5 touchdowns over those 10 weeks, he actually only scored touchdowns in 3 weeks. He had two touchdown games. So when he was hot, he was really hot. And those big spikes, that's the kind of things that you look for in best ball. And I mean, maybe I'm just a super fan of McConkey, but it is what it is. And I'm not going to back down from that take. And no matter where he's drafted at, I'm going to try to have at least 12%. I'm not going to go insane on him or anything. So look at the build. Got 2-5-7-2. Pretty much could be done at quarterback and tight end. We'll peek at quarterbacks. Is there anything here that, I mean, in another 2 rounds, if Aaron Rodgers is still there, I'll just tack him on. But I think I just take my last running back in Damian Martinez. Brees Hall, James Conner, Dobbins, Sampson, Garindo, Martinez. That's probably going to be the end of my running back room. I think I'll go ahead and add another tight end. That feels really good. These wide receivers feel good to me. Jefferson, McConkey, Adams, Pearsall, Josh Downs, Cedric Tillman, Jack Besh. I guess I could I don't know. Maybe Cleveland ends up being the Jackson Dart team. Like, who knows? But I think I will just tack on an Aaron Rodgers here in the next round if he's available. And if not, I'm not that worried about it. I'll just pick a tight end. Ben's Harold Fannin goes the pick after Damian Martinez. He he's a very interesting prospect. I love the upside. Scared of what capital he's going to get, but I love the upside. Like he's either going to hit hard or do nothing. And whoa, I didn't miss that. Bretton Strange goes at 107. That's moving up the board. So that's the guy. That's what happened. Yeah, this guy this guy has a really well built team. He's got the three quarterbacks. They were all late, very little capital in them, all stacked with number one options. Because right now, Jacoby Myers is the number one option. Puka's the number one option. I guess he doesn't have BTJ, but he took Bretton Strange, pulled him up a couple rounds just to guarantee it. But he's got Strange and ETN. Like that's a very well built team. I don't necessarily agree with the Tutu Atwell, but I mean it's a late round pick. Like you can do whatever you want at this point. It rarely when it matters. Like if that's right, and Tutu actually had 500 yards last year. It was like 563, I think. Oh, I'm on the wrong sheet. 562. So he had 562 yards last year. Like that's way more than I thought he had. Um so I think I take my last tight end here. Unfortunately, my favorite pick at this point, and newly signed uh, Mike Gesicki is gone. I haven't taken Mason Taylor in a little while, and this, with Kittle and Kraft, I don't have to have another tight end, so I think I'll just take a rookie upside pick. Like it would have been a really good team to actually have Harold Fannin on. Um, I get blinded by Martinez though, just like Ben probably gets blinded by Harold Fannin all the time. I'm gonna start taking like I seen it in a couple videos, and then off the schneid was talking about him, Kyle Williams. So I went and I watched my own video on it, and I watched two highlight videos. I couldn't find game tape, but like his the beginning of the video was all just little screen merchant passes that he would like just take to the house versus bad. And I think he was at an FCS school, I believe. I will look that up here in a little bit. I'll bring it up on my other screen. Uh, but like he looked like he was a screen merchant that like didn't like was just beating less skilled players over and over again at first. And maybe that's true. But then it started showing him later, and he was actually going downfield, some pretty solid contested catch stuff. Washington State Cougars. Um, I don't actually know if they're FCS or not. I but it definitely looked like they were playing against mostly FCS type schools because he was just blowing past people. Like it was crazy. It it actually kind of reminded me of Dylan Lowby last year, who I got bid on. But Laube was a running back who had fumbling problems. Kyle Williams doesn't have that. And but later in the videos it started showing like he was pretty good at going up in contested situations and doing something. And then his production at the combine, not his production, his like RAS and all that came out pretty good. Like he looked really good in the drills and everything. So I I'm in. I'll take a share or two of them here and there. If Russell Wilson makes it back, I'll tack him on. I don't love it. I don't. I feel really good at every position. I don't have a need. This is the luxury pick. Like I could just take a Taj Brooks or a Raheem Sanders if Sanders is available. Did he go? I'm assuming Raheem Sanders has been going a little higher. Yeah, he went to pick before me. I might. Yeah, I'll take Russell Wilson or maybe Jarquez. Maybe a Keaton Mitchell. I want to get a little bit more Keaton. I want to be about 8% Keaton Mitchell. He's not drafted every single draft. He's probably going to get replaced. But if they don't replace him, and who knows, maybe if the Ravens take a running back, they take somebody to replace Derrick Henry after this year and like have him sit and learn for a year or something like that. Like they take, and I would hate it, but like if they took Damian Martinez, it would be really bad for me. But like that'd be really good for Martinez and his career because he could be the bruiser back. And I actually I don't like Joe Jalen Milrow, but I mean this would be the kind of team I would take him on. Maybe I have one share of him, as you can see, one single share. Any suggestions? No suggestions. It's all good. Wilson feels fine. I I keep going back and forth in my own head. Wilson went. Do I want? I think I just take the. No, I don't. I don't believe in Milrow. Deontay Johnson. I really like him. We'll go ahead and just add Keaton Mitchell. Call it good. All right, the team. Herbert McConkey. Maybe a little weak at quarterback. I waited a little too long to get the third guy. That's fine. I think Justin Herbert finishes possibly like definitely top 10, maybe top 5 this year. I think their offense is going to explode. And McCarthy, assuming he gets the start and is reasonably good, like that offense is going to put up points. Nobody believed in Sam Darnold last year, but in that offense and that system, he was very good. Well, I guess we'll have to bring it back up. Uh, then Brees Hall, James Conner, J.K. Dobbins, Sampson, Garendo, Martinez, Keaton Mitchell. Very good 1-2 here. Plenty of people here to spike in and out to ping pong weeks. Jefferson, McConkey, Adams, Pearsall, Downs, Tillman, Jack Best, Kyle Williams. Little bit like I feel very good about the top end of this, and then I have a bunch of people who either have high upside down here or two people who can spike. Because Josh Allen's had several little spikes this season, and then last year's tight end 1 by points per game, George Kittle, Tucker Kraft, who they've came out and kind of said that they're going to use him a lot this year, and Mason Taylor as just an extra what if tight end, because I felt pretty confident in what I had built. And if Taylor hits, he's probably gonna, like, tight end 120-point week can set you apart. And if these two guys have bad weeks 15, and then Taylor puts up 14 points and gives me 6 extra points, which advance me, it makes it worth it. You know, every time you draft a best ball team, you have to justify why every single pick you made was correct. If you're not doing that, you're definitely playing the game wrong. But that is it. Thanks for everybody for coming out. And I will catch you in another video. If I can figure out where to close.